So a night of reflection on what I achieved yesterday or didn't achieve. Today I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to chop the frames. I didn't want to, but I think moving forward it's probably my best course of action because I want to get those square. I want to get all this set exactly how I want it. Also, if I get the frames chopped in half, I'll be able to bolt the two sides together and make sure the axle box location is equal. Doesn't matter too much with these designed axle boxes because they are adjustable, but I would like that knowledge and peace of mind in my head that all them holes are the same. So yeah, this will all get put to one side. I'll get the frames back up on the table and I get choppy, turn it all into pieces. Yeah, shouldn't take me too long to chop it up. But yeah, after yesterday's findings, I think it's the right course of action. I'm not happy with the welds, so chop them all out, start again. Yeah. Enjoy the video. So that's all frames chopped up. Half an hour. I knew it was going to be quick, but I didn't think it'd be that quick. Yeah, it's a fortunate thing that the welds were kind of rubbish, because had they been any good, I'd have probably had to go buy a new tool to do that job. So I think it's time for a coffee break before I get on with doing weld prep. Before I chopped up, I took measurements of where the engine mount lives. Surprise, surprise, the measurements are different on both sides. But yeah, hopefully, all being well, by the end of today, I am aiming to have that frame back together, back in one piece, and enables me to then put it into hiding, because it doesn't live in the workshop during the week. It needs to go into its hiding place, and then yeah, it's onwards and upwards really. Yeah, it was a decision I'd been mulling on all night. I reviewed my videos from yesterday, noticed how much I was not in a happy place. So I think lobbing these frames apart, cleaning them up, measuring them up, getting them welded up square, because they weren't square, the corner to corner measurement. So best way to see if a frame's square is measure opposite corners, and they were out by about 5mm. So yesterday I'd noticed there was a twist in the frame. Today I've noticed that the frames, I could actually get a measurement corner to corner this morning. And yeah, I need to make sure every measurement is bob on. It's also going to give me the opportunity, because I'm changing some things on the loco. I'm changing the seat location, changing the handbrake location. It's going to enable me to put some support underneath the seat, because I don't think there was any support under the seat. I think it was just purely the checkered plate, which, that's fine. I want a little bit more support under there. And also my handbrake column is going to be mounted. So I'm going to aim to get the frames back into one piece, get the floor back on it, and go from there really. Yeah, if I can get the floor back on it today, I can then mock up where my seat goes, where all the accessories go, because I've bought a new reverser lever from CMD. It's a Colin Edmondson laser cut reverser lever. So that's taking care of one job. I need to figure out where that's going to live. I need to figure out where the engine, the hydrostat and the 90-degree gearbox are going to live. But yeah, I think chopping those frames up is giving me a new outlook, because I'm going back to square one. I did the same thing when I did the Scamp. I took that nut and bolt apart, made all my modifications and put it back together exactly how I wanted it. And this is exactly what I'm going to do with this one. I've taken it apart, nut and bolt, and weld. It gives me the opportunity to grind all the suspect welds off and get this back into a position moving forwards. I don't think I can go any further backwards with this project. I've completely stripped this project back to the basics. I am now moving forward only. So, time to get all the weld prep done. Fun day. Right, so in basically 2 hours, which, yeah, a little over 2 hours, minus a coffee break, I've got it all back to square one. Now, side frames, luckily, the holes are pretty good. There's, I think there's only this end hole that's out by about 1 millimetre, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to live with that. Buffers, there is a variation in length of about 2 millimetres. I'm not going to live with that. I'm going to nick the end off and make that exactly the same size. Because I want that perfect. Yeah, so it's if I butt them up like that, yeah, there's a clear couple of mil there. So I'm going to nick the end off of that. Not worried about my frame stretchers because they're going to get welded in. Any gapping, I can fill that. Brake hangers, they've cleaned up all right. I'm going to bolt them back to back, machine them so the top and bottom are exactly the same. I'm also going to be nicking a corner off, so possibly going to chop that end off where it's been welded previously and give myself some raw steel at the bottom. Although the holes match, but again the length of the framework doesn't match, so that's going to get taken care of. These I'm going to nick the corner off them as well, tighten them up a little bit. I need to go dig out the buffers so I can bolt them on and get that all in a position where I can weld it all up. But yeah, next step really, I'm not going to tackle those just now. I'm going to get the frame welded up, so I need to get it all squared up. I'm going to be using the fixture table, so I take this wooden cover off, get it all fixtured up, get it all welded up. And yeah, it should go all right. Yeah, as I say, I just want to nick the end off of that and make that perfect. So these, I'm just going to go about the radius of a brasso tin. Just round out those corners. And I'm making sure I'm opposite the screw holes, which is where I'm going to be bolting the buffers onto. Then I'll get myself set up. I'll cut off the excess and then dress them up with the angle grinder. Yeah, the angle grinder is definitely getting to work out today. Excuse me. But it's all going to be worth it. Well, kind of helps if I turn the microphone on. But yeah, one of the luxuries I have here at the Steam Workshop is I have a fixture table. Now this thing is fantastic. It enables me to clamp my parts square. Now all these holes, dog holes I like to call them, are drilled in straight lines and their accuracy is fantastic. And that enables me to get my parts up onto the table, slide things together, adjust as required. So it's going to enable me to square my ends, allowing me space to weld and clamp everything down so nothing moves. So making sure everything's pressed up against the bench dogs. It enables me to then clamp it all down. And this is the critical part, and this is something that's often overlooked when fabricating. There's a cracking channel on YouTube, Jason at Fireball Tools. He does a lot of demonstration and testing of equipment. A lot of the equipment I like to use for welding was actually developed by Jason, like the Fireball squares and whatnot. And it enables me to perfectly set up the frame for welding. So I'm going to start one corner at a time, clamp it down, I'm going to tack it all up, I'm going to get the whole thing tacked together, get it all clamped down onto the table so it's square, and then I can do my weld outs on the corners. But yeah, it's just step by step, one weld at a time, and it is all about setup. You get your job set up correctly, all being well, everything comes together. So I'm just tapping everything home with a hammer, just making sure it's all seated. And then I get myself all set up for welding. Just need a little bit of a clean up on the weld there. So this is the top side. And then I can come back in, post weld and clean it all up. I'm probably going to tack weld, no sorry, I'm going to TIG weld all the top joints because that's going to enable me to be the cleanest and the flattest and get the maximum amount of penetration in those welds. So top side, then I'll tack it all together here. I'll tack the other half together in exactly the same fashion and then bring it all together and get it welded out. So previously there was no weld in these corners, so I've welded them. You do sometimes tend to find that when you put an angle into corners, a lot of people will leave the weld out here because that's got to reference in. But what I've done is I've welded it up. I've come in with a bull-nosed flap disc to round that out, and then I've rounded over the corners of the angle, and then when it's welded in I can get a full seam weld all the way round and it's nice and tight. And the same there, it's all fully welded out, so that angle is adding further strength to the corners. Just got to get this side welded in and it's getting there. So here it is just before clamping up, and you can see how nice that sits into that corner. Time to weld it. Right, so foot plate lives there. Right, seat. Now the seat used to live there. That's directly in line with the middle of that axle. So I'm going to shuffle it back just a fraction, and also rearwards a fraction. So it's going to go about there. Which will enable me to have my handbrake column here, just where I want it. Now wondering where the wheels are going to live, because I can't have that interfering with the flange. Yeah, that's going to work. So it's going to be there and there. So I want to put these two support struts here and here. So there and there, going either way from it. Yeah, that's gonna work a treat. Ugh, bloody heavy thing. Yeah, if you've checked out the other videos on the seat and the handwheel, I want the handwheel to be in front of the driver's seat, just like it is on the full-size listers, because that is where I want to be. I want to be along the lines of a full-size lister. Where's my square? Put it away. Right. So I am going to be here and here. Transfer that inside. And then I need to put the markings on the opposite side in exactly the same place. So I'm going to get these two rails in nice and square. So I am at 290 millimeters. And 445. So that takes care of those two supports. Now I've lost my bloody pen lid. Oh, there it is. Okay, so two pieces of 2-inch box section going either side. It's going to support the seat. Instead of it being as wide as it was, it's going to be narrower, supporting the seat. Luckily you're not going to see where these welds have been. And then coming onto the front end, I've got the two support rails for the bottom of the engine. and I want these to be square. I may have to remount the holes in the bracket, but that I'm not too concerned about. So I've got 271 and 273. Let's go 270. And that's to the leading edge of the bracketry. So 270 for the first one, and the second one is 506, 507. That might well have been to the back side. Let's go 505. Let's see what happens at 505, because I've also got the two stretchers that go in between to consider as well. But that's going to give me at least 2 straight reference lines. And then I can square everything up once it gets laid in. But the next step is going to be flip this over, get it all jigged up. I'm going to have to clear some paint actually. Let's note those measurements. So I've got 290 and 445. So yeah, as I'm flipping it over, I can clean this paint off. Let's have a little juggle of things. It's typical. It's one of those things. The more steel you add, the heavier it gets. It's going to get to the point where I'm not even going to be able to lift this thing, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, I am thinking of making it heavier by filling in these sandboxes. Sorry, I didn't mean sandboxes. I mean fill in the ballast weights with sand. Gonna have to lay it back down this way so I can remark these ends, because I've only gone and cleaned it off. So again, 290 and 445. and then I can flip it all over again. Right, I need a reference face, which looks like it's got like that. Right, so back into dowel pin mode. So I'll have two at the end here, which reference off the buffer beam. And two more, which are going to reference off the side frames. Just making sure they're all going to be out of the way of where I'm going to glue everything on. So that is back in. Now, I need two pieces of box. So I am having one here. And one here. And yeah, from where I've cut them off, they're a little bit narrow. So I'm going to split the difference on the gaps on either end. And when I come to weld it, I'll fill those gaps in. Right. Before I clamp it down, I'm just going to check square. Oh, that's looking really quite good. Right, and then two engine supports. One of the joys of chopping things up is you never know where you were supposed to weld them, but I can re-drill these holes when I've got the engine back in place, and then my horizontal supports, which are going to line up exactly with the bolt holes, like that. And that should work a treat. So chuck a clamp in that. One more clamp. Let's just check square on that. Looking good. And I just need a couple of clamps that'll hold those middle bits in. So weld that side, then clamp that side. Right, that's all good. Now to weld it all up. Okay, so that is it. Oh, probably 90% welded up. The only thing I've got left to weld in is the Eaton bracket and the 90-degree bracket, And then there was another piece of 2-inch angle, 2-inch box here, which I don't think it needs, because the only thing there is a front foot plate. So I don't think it needs that. Possibly just a piece of 1-inch angle, doesn't need 2-inch box. And also the brake hangers. But the brake hangers I'll do another time, because I've got to figure out my geometry and where I want them to live. Because I'm going to have the brake column here, the brake hangers are going to have to be a little bit further this way than before, so I don't end up with a massive lever. But I should be able to put the axle boxes back on. Probably have to modify the rear axle boxes, purely because this bar is now in a different position. It's actually come this way nearly 2 inches. But yeah, there's no wobble on this frame anymore. It's definitely square. Yep, that'll do me. So yeah, bolt the axle boxes back on, and I think that will call it a day. So, axle boxes are back on. I'm pretty sure I'm going to call it a day at that. Let's just have a look at my measurements, see what they are today. So that's 430. And that is also 431. That's 430.7. So yeah, there's only half a mil difference in width across those, which is most useful. Let's have a quick look at this. So 500, that is pretty damn close. Yeah, that's within a millimetre those, which is absolutely fantastic. I've got rid of the wobble out of the frame, beefed up all my welds. I know exactly where they are now. I know exactly what they're made of. They're not made of body filler anymore. So I would call that, for me, quite a successful day. So yeah, nice new welds in all the joints. You can see the amount of rubber I've managed to cook on the inside of those. But yeah, I actually did forget to clamp that side of that joint down, so they are slightly sloped, but that being said, they only tie those two together. It doesn't matter if they're not quite level. But yeah, all my corner welds are looking really nice. I think I've done a decent enough job there to satisfy my own mind. I've got these rounded off, which really ties them up. I've actually opened this gap here to 10 millimeters, just so it's a nice bit of detail. Yeah, dropping that down. I need to figure a way of filling those with either sand or cement. So what I might do is, using this hole in the bottom, once I've got the buffer stocks on, I'm going to fill them up. So yeah, fill them up with sand, add some weight to them, because it's pointless them having these counterweights with them not actually doing anything. There's a lovely hole in the bottom, which is only in the bottom. So I think, yeah, either sand or cement, I'll get them filled up, make this thing super heavy. But yeah, that'll do me, I think. I'm more than happy with that. It's going to live on the table overnight. I'll get someone to give me a hand to put it away in its hiding spot tomorrow. Then it's out of my workspace and I can get back on with the diesel. But yeah, for now, I'm a happy bunny. I've got my new camera, which is doing all right, I think. I quite like the look of it. I've got my new microphone, which I quite like the look of that as well. Quite like how it turned out the sound yesterday. which it's really good. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.